welcome back, guys. Today we're gonna talk about another topic about God. It's gonna be a separate season or separate episode, basically. We're gonna continue on the Iran one later on, but right now we're gonna talk about God. Today I have my girl. Where basically she's gonna share her side of the stories about God and what miracles she had and her past experience with God. So I just want to welcome her on the show. This is mine and hers talking with TMP. Um,
Yeah.
so I guess my first question would be, what is God basically to you? As what for other people, it's a different term of God, as in multiple gods in certain religions like mine, or one God in certain religion. What is the definition for you as God, or how do you see?
How do I view God?
Basically,
Um,
yeah.
so so for me, for my religion, Catholic Christian, Catholicism. First of all, Catholic means universal. That means everybody's welcome. And then Christian, the meaning of it is Jesus. That's the meaning of being Christian. You believe in Jesus Christ, right? Jesus. God is the beam of light that created, everything, earth and everything, Um, how I believe in it and I see it and I view God is he's a beam of light. We can't see him, you know. He won't appear to you like, oh, I'm here, They say when you see a bright light, you burn, So he's so bright and so full of love that he'll kill us in an instant. So we can't see him, but that's something that we learned, what I learned growing up is that the reason he sent Jesus, it's him in an image of a human, so then we can see him, but it's God. So he's just a beam of light, you know. That's what I view God as, he's a big man, He runs everything. And yeah,
Got it. I
that's
know
it.
there's a general misconception about as being Catholic and Christian are the same thing because you guys, basically worship Jesus. From past what you have told me, they're not the same. They're a little too different. If I'm right, right?
Mm, I wouldn't say different. Honestly, we're the same,
Mm.
you know. Being a Christian and Catholic, we're the same. The only difference is our religion believes in, the Virgin Mary. Um, you know, everybody always talks down on her, but let's just be real. We got to thank her for carrying a human being that came to save our sins, you know, knowing that your son will die just for us, for one person, like for everybody, who are we, how are we so much important than that person that died for us on the cross, you know? And that's the only difference is we believe in saints and the Virgin Mary, and Christians don't. They just believe in God that He died for us on the cross and that's it. And
Mhm.
God,
Mhm.
Jesus, my bad, died for us on the cross and that's it.
Yeah.
That's the only person. That's God. Yes, that is God. That's peace of God.
Mhm.
That's His way of showing humans that He loves us so much that He brought His Son to us, and He used Mary, you know Jesus' mother, the one that carried him in the womb, to carry, to how would I say it? Um, like he used her because she was very, 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 very like I can't even describe the way she was, but the knowledge I have is that she was no sin. Like she was so perfect to God. She chose her, only her, to be the mother of Jesus. And so that's kind of where we clash,
Mhm.
with oh you're Catholic, how like why are you
Yeah. Yeah.
worshiping and all that. It's not even that, it's thanking her. We venerate
Mhm.
her, we thank
S-
her, we give
Yeah.
her a day, as a matter of fact,
Mhm.
December 12th, That's the day we thank her for, for everything. She literally saw her son die on that cross for us. Like,
So
what else,
going back, I guess some viewers or listeners don't know, um, who is the Virgin Mary, right? So who is she?
Who is she?
Yeah,
The
you
mother
know,
of everyone,
or
you know?
basically like stating a fact like how um so she's Jesus' mom basically.
She's everybody's mom. The reason why, like I said, God chose her to be the one to carry that human being, which is Jesus.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
God, right? They rephrase it as God. It's God,
Yep.
right? In Him. There you go. She's something very important to us because if it wasn't for her, Jesus wouldn't be here, you know? And that's another thing that, I've been told, I've been bashed on about is, oh, you worship her, this and that, you idolize her. No, we don't. We venerate her. That means thanking her for carrying this human being that she knew she wasn't going to have for till like, what,
Mhm.
30, 32 was when he got crucified. Like, she knew that that was going to happen, and she still went for it. God told her, this is his mission. You're going to take over, you're going to carry him and have him be born. And she knew his mission, and she
Yeah.
allowed her son to die, when you conceive a baby,
Mhm.
I'm a mom, I wouldn't want to see my son die for anybody, you know. Losing a son isn't something you want to see as a parent. And so that's why we kind of, we thank her for being there, as a mom. So we kind of like, you know, we venerate her, we thank her for being the mom of Jesus Christ, knowing your son will die, but you are strong and you're keeping your faith strong because God told you to. It's like, for example, um, you have a kid, right? So God's like, hey, in a few years, your kid's gonna die to save human being around you, your friend, doesn't matter what religion you are. He's gonna come here to save your sins from everything. And she knew it, like it's
Mhm.
like it, and you're gonna say no. Why are you gonna kill my kid? What the heck,
Yep. Yep.
But that's basically why that's a little difference of why we believe in her and the saints. I know I went off a little bit off topic, but giving a little fast summary, about it. But I mean, Christians, I respect them. They believe in Jesus Christ, and that's still God. I respect, and you know, I wouldn't even like talk bad about like anybody because it's God. At the end of the day, whatever religion, what you're Sikh, right? Sikh, Buddhism,
Yeah.
we all believe in one God.
Yep.
Maybe we don't use the same term as everybody else, but it's the same big man up there that at the end of the day, when we die, we will see him. And we just have to be happy and thankful for everything he's given us in this life, even though, you know, things get difficult at times. That's the challenge of life. Then, if the thing's difficult in life, you're not living your life. You're not living life. You're just
Mhm.
going by, like nothing. But, you know,
Yeah.
love God.
So okay, going back, so we're gonna talk basically, the encounters that you have with God. I know you shared a couple of times with me. I don't know if you willing to share.
uh, so that's a little hard topic to talk about, but I'm gonna give you a little brief detail
Mhm.
about like
Mhm.
everything I went through personally.
Or
Um,
just maybe give us like an outline. Um, you know.
okay. So basically, um,
Because at the end of the day, it is
like
your belief, and we're just here to listen of every individual's belief. We're not here to judge, obviously.
it's it's we're not here. What was the motto?
We listen, but we don't
We
judge.
listen, but
So,
we don't judge.
yeah.
This is just my experience, my thing that God gave me, you know? And I believe it 100% because why would I have a vision? Why would I have uh, you know, like a moment, with him? Like I just think it was meant to be because I doubted him. It's more of like he reveals himself when you doubt him, but you don't want to
Mhm.
doubt him because then that's a sin you're committing.
Mm.
You're doubting him. You don't believe in him. That's God. God doesn't want that. So a few years ago, when I was like 16, 15, probably 15, yeah. I started hanging out with a group of people that weren't that great. Um, you got friends and they're like, "Hey, let's do this, let's do that," and you go and do it. You go do. I'm just gonna be straight blunt. You go and smoke. You go and drink. You do all that. You're like, I'm young. Who cares? Um, so that's what happened to me. I went out of my way and I did all that stuff. And I was looking for like that love from somebody, you know? And I wanted like a family. I wanted to be like cared for because, I was going through that phase where I didn't think I had anybody. And
I think we
of
all have
course I
that one
wasn't.
phase.
Yeah, I was like in that position where I was like, I don't believe in God. Yeah. Is he
Mhm.
really even real? I knew about him. I knew what my faith had taught me, but I was at the age where I was curious to like do things, and I'm like, you know what? I don't think he's real. I think this is just fake. This is something that it's just made up. Because I started thinking about everybody's religions, that
Mhm.
came up too in my head. How is it real? Why does God allow us to do bad? You know?
Yeah. Let me take a little quick break here. So, basically, we're just gonna be overviewing her side of the stories of um what belief she has basically, and what she has um gone through in her miracle, or the thing that happened to her that made her basically closer to God. Um, well, we can do a little deep dive into it.
Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
back.
No, no worries.
Um, so basically I was in that motive of thinking, you know what, like God doesn't exist.
Mhm.
Why are we even thinking of God? You know, there's this religion, this religion, this religion, this religion.
Mhm.
Wasn't thinking of nothing. Kept doing what I was doing. It got to the point where I just didn't feel good anymore inside. I hated everything. I would always fight with my parents. It was always them. It was always, you know, always arguments and arguments.
Mhm.
But, you know, over all that, I was like, this not breakups. I dated, all that stuff happened. Something just told me inside me I needed to go back to my, what I used to learn about God. Just
Yeah.
it went to the part where I was very, very, very like alone. I had no friends. It was really bad. So then it actually got to the point where I wanted to kill myself. Let's just say that. Um, I wanted to just kill myself. I didn't care. I didn't care how my parents were gonna feel. I didn't care how things were gonna be. And believe it or not, drugs are things that cause, you know, that bring the bad stuff to you. Meaning spiritually, the drugs do cause you to hallucinate, right? But then it brings bad spirits to you. I believe in that. And, you know, things like that is what was getting to me. I felt depressed. I felt everything, you know. And I just said to myself, I'm just gonna go back. I lost everything. I lost people I thought were my family, basically, friends, you know. I consider brothers and sisters. I was just alone in a very low moment in my life. And I chose to go back to church, you know. I chose to open my heart to God. You know, as Catholics, we confess, you know. And I did that. You know, I did my confession with the priest. Nobody knows. That's confidential. He can't tell nobody. He can't tell my cousin. He can't tell nobody. It's
Mhm.
confidential. And it was a big relief. I felt good inside because I know that he can't say anything.
Mhm.
You know, I let all my sins that I thought were bad. You know, I
Yeah.
I just told him. Then on Sunday, I went to church. I remember getting up and getting the Eucharist. You know, the one that Christians say they're the bread and the wine and stuff. But we call it a Eucharist, the bread, you know, and the wine, well, the grape juice, the thing, you know. We have actual wine, but it's mixed with water, and it's blessed by the priest. All of that, and so when it was my time to go up to get that, I kid you not, when I received that, inside, you know, like I put it in my mouth because you're not supposed to touch it. You're supposed to just let the priest place it in your tongue, and then you leave it in there. It like melts. It's consumes. It's like a oatmeal texture. You know, if I can make that. Anyways, um, once they did that, I just felt a warm spiritually hug inside me. The emptiness I felt, I can't describe it. It's not even a hug from earth. It was a hug from God. And I just felt that warmth and that hug inside. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna cry, but I felt that inside, and I just remember walking to my seat, and we have to kneel and pray, on our seat. And I was crying. I was thanking God. I was like, "Thank you for that hug. I needed the most. I thought I was alone." And then from there, my journey began to, started, with Him, because I thanked Him that day and I acknowledged God and I felt Him in His presence. He started having me go through things, obstacles in life. I'm not gonna say from there I was perfect. No, nobody's perfect. And I don't agree with people that say, "Oh, I'm perfect," or they say, "Oh, that person's working, they're perfect." Like, no, like everybody's gonna make mistakes every day.
Mhm.
Nobody's perfect. That's part of being a human. That God gives us that free will to fix that mistake. Obviously you can't do the mistake and then redo it and redo it. No, like it has to stop. It's a cycle, it's a habit. You need to stop as a human. Well, anyways, I was, living my life, still going. Then I met somebody, you know, and it just didn't go well. I let the kindness of me and my big heart,
Mhm.
take over, and I didn't see the red flags. you know, um, I ended up having a child, with that person,
Mhm.
and yeah, it was a very hard time as well. Um, being with that person, because how would I say it? I got anxiety with that person every time I spoke to that person.
Mhm.
I felt like I was trying to be, the best wife or whatever you can call me, to that person, and who wasn't being.
Just so you know, guys, just because she's taking a pause because her kid Tony, he's calling. That's why. So, basically,
I'm back. I'm so
oh,
sorry.
are you
I
good?
got my child Rhaenyra.
Go ahead.
Okay, so So basically, me and his father weren't really getting along. You know, I'm not perfect. I used to be the same reaction he would give me, I would give back. You know, if it was cussing and saying stuff to each other, it was
Matching the
that.
energy, basically.
Basically, the
Mhm.
vibes, you know.
Mhm.
And I noticed that it was just not getting better. It got to the point where we got physical with each other, you know. No cops were involved, thank God. But we just said, you know what, this is it. I decided to just, move out and move on to the next. I was like, you know what, I'm done. I need you to get out, you know. And we just stopped talking from there. He would give me the worst attitude, no good co-parenting, you know. Um, but overall, in those years that I was alone, I had encounters, because then I ended up going back to like retreats, going to retreats. Um, because once again, I felt that disconnect from God. I didn't feel like I had Him again. Um, and I was just asking why, you know. There was a moment in my life where my son's father would come home and he would just sleep. He wouldn't ask me if I was hungry. He wouldn't check up on me, and I was pregnant around that time. And he just came one day in the morning and just went to sleep. And obviously, I wasn't working because I was like 7 months pregnant. I was big. Um, I was just there looking at him, and I would tell him like, "Hey, wake up! Like I'm hungry," you know. And he didn't care. He wouldn't get up. And I just remember that day I was so sad. I wasn't even mad. I was sad.
Mhm.
Felt it in the bottom of my heart, and I just remember praying to God and telling him, like, I'm sorry for the stuff I put myself into, you know. Forgive me for everything, you know, and I cried so much. I felt it so bad. Like I felt trapped. I felt embarrassed to tell my parents. I felt embarrassed to tell a friend what I was
Mhm.
going through. Um, Next thing you know, my friend knocks on the door. I just like, hey, you want to go eat? And I just cried because I was like, hey, I just prayed to God about that. I was hungry, and you came right on the time he brought you to me. And she literally said, before I told her that, she was like, come, you want to go eat? And I was like, yeah. And then she told me, don't bring him, just you. And I was like, what? It was the first miracle, that happened. And then fast forward to me going to a retreat for 3 days. I left. My mom took care of my son, you know. She's like, oh, go, go learn about God and, bond with him. And so I did. I left for 3 days. I forgot the church's name, but it was in Santana. And it was the best experience I've ever had. We did a lot of things in there. I felt when I came out of there, I literally felt like I couldn't drive. I felt dizzy, but a good, like, so much prayer and so much of God. It was a lot for my soul and myself. I couldn't drive. I don't even know how I made it home. I just prayed. I'm like, get me home safe. And literally, when I prayed to get me home safe on the freeway, there was a crash that had happened. So I'm grateful that that wasn't me, and I think those people survived. But what I'm trying to say is praying is a big thing too. When you go out, you gotta pray. Well, anyways, in that retreat, in those 3 days, I was kind of doubting God again. And I was like, why am I here? But then I wanted to be there. Something was telling me to go.
Mhm.
Something was pulling me to go. It's crazy. Like something was telling me, and I even told my mom, I want to go to a retreat. I don't know why. I just have the feeling of going to a retreat. She was like, "What? Are you crazy? Are you serious?" Like, yeah. And so,
Do you know the
I
date
ended
when
up
you went
going.
to retreat by any chance?
I think it was in 2024 on, I believe, March. of
Okay, okay.
2024, last year, if I'm not mistaken. But that Sunday was our last day there. In the morning, uh, the lady was like, "Hey, everybody!" Before the church, the priest starts praying and everything, starts doing the mass. We all get together and worship God.
Mhm.
She's like, "Everybody, close your eyes, and think of the most hard and worst day of your life, you know." And in my head, I close my eyes and I'm like, it's just
Yep.
pitch black. I'm
Yep.
like, what am I gonna think about, right? And guess what? Boom! Right when I said that, God showed me an image of myself. And that day, I prayed to Him that I was hungry and I felt embarrassed to tell anybody about my situation, how my child's father was just laying down there. I saw everything detailed. I kid you not. My dress I was wearing that day, how the bed was made, him laying sleeping there, me praying exactly at that time that I saw myself. I was praying to God.
Mhm.
Everything I had, everything image like a vision, of my past. And I instantly opened my eyes and I was like, "Thank you." I didn't know why He showed me that. And since we had little like a group, we were in groups, we were like 6 or 10 people in a group for each person. And there was one person that was guiding each group of ours.
Mhm.
And in my group, we all went after mass, we all went to talk. We did a huddle. We all talked about our retreat, how we felt about it, how it helped us. And I explained to she was like a pastor, the lady. And I explained to her, and she said, "You know what? God just did a miracle right there. He just revealed what he basically told you, hey, I'm always here. I've always been here for you. You just never saw." He basically revealed that he was seeing you in that moment you were asking.
Mhm.
And I just cried. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I felt special. I'm like, people like me, we get mad, we doubt things, we say things we don't mean. But at the end of the day, God's always listening. And I always tell people, you know, don't let one bad day or one person or anybody tell you otherwise. Oh, God doesn't exist. Oh, why do you believe in that? You know what? It's fine. It's what you believe in. It's God. He wants you to be there for Him, you know? And I've been always throwing stuff, hey, what you believe in is not, something right, this and that. That's not that's not our job to judge. That's God. That's up to God. When we pass away, God will judge us. And so that's what also made me overthink about my religion. And I believe, whatever religion you were born in, that's the religion God gave you, you know? So that's why I have respect for people. Whatever religion they want to be in, yeah, I respect it. But yeah, that was one of the things that had happened to me. And then there was a moment too where I was, I guess, on the December 12th is like the day we celebrate the Virgin Mary. We
Mhm.
thank her. We made a day for her. I think Hispanics only do it. Like in Mexico, we only do it. I don't know if in another country they do it, but I know in Mexico it's known for December 12th to celebrate the Virgin Mary's Day.
Mhm.
We thank her for it.
Yeah.
And I was getting ready the day before, December 11th. I was like, I'm gonna go to sleep early and I'm gonna, do this. I'm gonna make sure my son goes to sleep so we can all go, because we get up at 3 in the morning. I know it sounds weird, but 3 in the morning, we get up, we start celebrating. We sing her like a birthday song, those mañanitas in Spanish, what we
Mhm.
call. And I was so with it. And the next thing you know, it was just a bad night. My son didn't want to go to sleep.
Yeah.
My brother didn't want to go to sleep either. He was up late. Um, my mom was preparing food for my dad to go to his job, the day
Mhm.
after. And it was just a whole mess. It wasn't how I wanted it to
Yeah.
go. And so basically, when that happened, I was tired. I didn't want to get up at 3 in the morning, December 12th. My mom comes in the room. She's like, hey, let's go. And I'm like, no, you go. I'm tired.
Mhm.
I don't want to go anymore. I was mad because I was tired. Everybody went to sleep late. I was not feeling it no more. My spirit of going to that celebration of church, we have a mass after that, was just gone. I was like, no, I'm good. And so she left. I was like, you go by yourself.
Yeah.
So she left. I stayed with my brother and my son. So I went back to sleep. The moment I went back to sleep, I literally dreamt four people or three people. I don't recall how many people. We were in a car. It was weird. We were in a car and there was like a bunch of clouds. Like we were floating. It was so weird. I didn't know these people at all. It was like me having fun. But then I noticed everything was like cloudy. There's clouds.
Mhm.
And in front of us there was a big castle, golden castle. Like it was like gold. It was really big. It looked nice. And then this voice, it was like a bunch of voices, but it was the same voice in one. Spoke to me and was like, "You needed to go and you didn't go." And when I heard that voice,
Mm.
I was like, automatically I remembered why he's the person, the voice said that to me.
Mhm.
And I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go." And I woke up and it was 8 in the morning.
Yeah.
I was like, did God just scream at me? Did he just talk to me like that? And I basically I called my mom. I'm like, where are you? She's like, I'm still at church. I'm just eating right now because they had
Mhm.
like food and stuff that day. They were selling food, and I was like, no, who spoke to me in my dream? Usually, they say, oh, when you listen about something the day after you dream about it, or somebody talked to you, you dream about it. Nobody was there to talk to me about it. I wasn't even ready to go to what we were gonna do. I was like not even thinking about it. And
Yeah.
that dream came up, and it felt like it was a quick 5-minute dream when it wasn't. It was like the whole night. And I was like happy. I heard his voice. I always wanted to hear his voice, and I heard his voice. I heard God's voice. But he was mad. Like, hey, you didn't go celebrate, with the mother of all, everybody, the one that carried Jesus Christ. Didn't go celebrate her day. What happened, basically. So then my mom came home. I was like, "Hey, what time's the next mass?" And she's like, "Oh, it's this time." And I'm like, "All right, can you watch my son?" So I just went. I went to mass, and I said sorry to God. I'm like, "I'm sorry for not obeying and not going, to celebrate." And so that was one miracle that he allowed me to hear his voice, and it's like it replays in my mind. It will never go away, and I'm happy and thankful I got the chance to hear his voice. Um, that's a lot. That like it was a lot. Like I cried when I woke up. I cried because I heard his voice. It was a very powerful voice. Like you knew who the man was just by hearing his voice. And yeah, that's one of the miracles that I've had encountered. You know. Um, another thing that happened to me too, and it was recent. um when I had that occur, I'm like it's happening constantly, which is good. I'm grateful about it,
Mhm.
and I like to share it to people so they know like that God is there. Whatever religion you believe in, God is there. He's listening to you. He's
Yeah.
seeing every single thing you do. And if you choose to do something you know it's not right, don't do it, Respect God. And, right now I'm going through something with my father, he was diagnosed with liver cancer, like he has a tumor in the liver and he has liver cirrhosis and all that stuff. It's not good. He's high risk. They also said that he had a tumor that developed in his brain. Everybody's been praying and trying to stay positive. He's gone to the hospital like 5 or 6 times already. But God still wants him here. And I remember praying to God and telling him, "Oh God, let my parents get married one day." I didn't mean it like this, in a hurry and a rush, but God is listening, He's gonna make it happen that my parents are gonna get married, and I'm thankful for that. Um, that's another blessing, that he's doing. It's another miracle, that even though my dad is in a high risk situation, he's still gonna receive that sacrament, of marriage and stuff. And God heard my prayer.
Yeah.
Um, Give me a second. All
Yeah.
right, so yeah, that was one thing that that honestly also made me view life differently with what happened with my dad. It was so bad seeing your parent have a seizure. You've never seen them like that. It was the
Mm.
worst thing that could happen, in my life. And honestly, it brought me closer to God. And I don't wish on anybody to have to go through that. Seeing mother or father having a seizure and almost dying, bleeding out. The worst thing, that can happen.
Yeah.
Um, but God's keeping him here for a reason. So he gets married. You know? Um, the whole point of this is God. God is not. I mean, people are like, God is dead. No, God is alive. God is here. God is everywhere. God is listening to everybody. And I'm not perfect. I'm telling you, I come from the worst place in my life. Like where I chose to do bad, but at the same time, I fixed myself so I wouldn't go back to that. And I'm thankful and I'm proud of myself that God was there the whole time. Like I said, nobody is perfect. So when people are like, "Oh, you're going to church, oh, you're doing this, but you're doing all this," that's why I don't do it no more. Like, everything I said or did, if I ever hurt somebody's feelings, like, I already said sorry to God and I said sorry to myself, and I prayed and I said sorry to that person.
Mhm.
And I just want to give, positive. How would I say it? I want to keep it positive for everybody. Like I said, I respect everybody's religion, and whatever you believe in, just believe in it, and just know God is there and Jesus Christ is there for us. And I'm grateful to be making this podcast with you. Like it's the best thing that we've ever thought about, and we just want to spread positive. Positive. I can't even talk right now because I'm so happy, but want to be positive and just spread that. And you know we want people when they come up and talk to us that they feel comfortable, like they're just speaking to a
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah. If
We're
anybody,
not.
oh, go
Oh
ahead.
yeah. Oh, you go
If
ahead.
anybody has any other experience with God, maybe it doesn't even have to be Jesus or somebody, any other religion, basically, and you guys experience God in a different way, or you guys went through something, and um, basically you had this miracle happen and you change yourself, you know, um, you guys want to share it, go ahead and you guys can just tag us, message me. Um, I'll have the YouTube link down there and everything. So if you guys want to come on this podcast and talk about your side of the story, on God and what miracle happened to you, feel free. Like I said, we're here to we're here to listen. We're not here to judge. We listen, but we don't judge. So,
Yeah, we listen, but we don't judge.
yep. So I
Yeah,
think,
so I think it's important. Sometimes it's good to talk about it, and not feel like you're alone. You know, you just want to spread joy to the world, and whoever listens, tunes in. It's also mostly for the generation, that's younger than us. I mean, I think we still fall in that generation category,
yep.
but
Unfortunately, we do. Yeah.
just to give more of a better view of life. And
Mhm.
another thing that gets to me a lot is when kids go to school and they bully other kids, and then sometimes it turns to the kids killing the other kids. Like, that gets to me a lot, because it's like my son, he's gonna grow up to go to school. I would never want him to bully another
Yeah,
kid,
I
or
got.
him going and killing somebody, because they bullied him. Like, no, like that hits me, hard, because it's like, damn, that's crazy. But yeah, we want to spread
Yeah, I
the
got bullied
positivity.
when I was in school, but I chose a
Me
frogman.
too.
I chose a frogman's route. Ignore and override. I don't give a shit about what they think about me.
I got bullied too. It was over my weight, because I don't know. It was just so random. I used to walk a mile from my school to my house,
Mhm.
and it was in Moreno Valley. And there was this kid. I didn't even know who he was. He was an eighth grader. That's all I knew, and I was a sixth grader. I was a little kid,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
he just came and started calling me names in front of everybody. Everybody laughed. I didn't take it personally. Like, I didn't care, because I had my dog at that time. I was like, happy child. I had my dog. I didn't care, but it did feel bad. Like, when it started getting worse, it
Mhm.
was an everyday thing. A lot of people would laugh about it, and I was getting bullied. And my innocent mind was like, "What's going on?" Until I
Yeah.
told my mom. And my mom, she said, "Not today." She rolled up. She's like, "Why are you bullying my son, my daughter? I'm gonna take you to the office. This and that." I didn't even feel embarrassed. I felt like my mom saved my life. Because who knew what would have happened.
Yeah.
But I just don't agree on that. I feel like a lot of this generation does that a lot, and hopefully our podcast, reaches the younger people, and they get to talk about their experience, and we can spread joy and possibility. How do you say it? Positive.
Positively
Joy.
or
Yeah, there you go. See, I can't even talk. I'm so happy right now. Anyways, but yeah, that's the whole point of this. And whoever wants to join, and wants to speak about anything, give advice, or just in general conversation, we take everything. We're here to listen.
yep.
Yeah.
I guess from
Next
here we'll be ending the first episode of, I guess, what is God or who is God basically.
was God, and
Yep.
what miracles He performed with
Yep.
me, through
So,
me.
yeah. Yep.
But yeah,
All right. Well, I guess I'll see
thank you
you
so much
guys
for
on the
thanks so
next.
much for listening, guys.
Yep. See you guys on the next episode. I guess what it would be, we don't know yet.